Hello and welcome to the Growth Channel Podcast. Here is your host, RJ.
Hello and welcome to the Growth Channel Podcast. Throughout my life, I have been labeled many things. Some were earned, but most of these labels were based on other people's assumptions of who they thought I was. People that were labeling me did not even know me. And I never allowed others to create who I really was. No, I had labels like, he's a Bonds boy. Or when I came to China, he's a Wang boy. He was an ANC supporter, a radical. He's aggressive. Those were their labels, not mine. Negative labels are very hurtful. Not only are they hurtful, they are useless and unproductive. Over the years, I have met many people who suffered enormously from negative labels other people have attached to them. Calling them weak, stupid, boring. Some are trapped by labels that describe not their qualities but their roles. Like, he's a class clown, he's a failure, he's a psycho. We live in a society of labels. Everyone will try to label you. It's been happening since the beginning. It takes some honesty and objective reflection to see it. But take a moment or two and really think about it. Eventually, we subconsciously begin to believe these labels. Over time, these labels become the foundation for our lives. Now, you think, I'm this person, or I'm not this person, I can do this, or I can not do this. Our entire personality and sense of reality are shaped by these labels sometimes. Today I want to talk about this topic that is very close to my heart. Now, this topic of negative labeling affects many people who might not even be aware of it. So I want to speak about negative labeling and how to overcome these negative labels.
The Growth Channel Podcast, broadcasting worldwide. If you are serious about making money online from home, then visit onlinegrowthchannel.com, onlinegrowthchannel.com. If you are interested in growing yourself, personal development and financial freedom, then subscribe to our Online Growth Channel on YouTube, Online Growth Channel.
In our everyday lives, we place labels on many things, such as food, clothing, and even people. To identify these products. Now, labels depend formally on social norms or control, and informally on the interaction that we have among people. A label is a stereotype designation formally or informally conferred upon a person. Labels may refer to past behavior, but they may also be inaccurate assumptions based on biased perceptions or partial information. And this is very important. Most of the time, these labels are based on inaccurate assumptions or partial information. That is passed on from one person to the other person. And then we are judged according to these labels. Labels assumes that the individual will conform to the expectation of a certain behavior. And even though the expectations may be for a behavior which elicits negative sanction, labels hold a lot of meaning, and therefore they are quite dangerous. Since they are related to judgment, they can create a stereotype, hearsay, a bias, a fear, and the inability to separate a person from the label itself. This is the beginning of discrimination and hate culture, because slowly we begin to dehumanize people to nothing more than just a label. In the church, for example, negative labels tend to encourage and legitimize treating the labeled member in a manner consistent with the imposed label. It is difficult for a negatively labeled church member to maintain a picture of himself inconsistent the way in which others in the church view him. Many Christians at one time or another find the quality of their commitment to their faith implicitly questioned through a variety of labels applied by other members or church leaders. And a number of these members eventually leave the church. And I believe that they may not They do not actually fall away, but they rather, through this subtle labeling process, they allow themselves to be labeled out of the church. For example, regardless of the comments a church member give in support of the church, if that member has acquired a negative label of either he's a critical or he's a barnsboyke, even his supportive or her supportive remarks are interpreted in some way critical to that of the church. Now, labels may be generalized from one behavior to another, or even from one family member to another person within the family. Not only does labeling say things about the people being labeled, it says a lot about the person doing the labeling. Stigmatization is often a consequence of labeling, which can lead to an individual person being treated differently, or sometimes even excluded from society, or excluded from church activity.
You are listening to the Growth Channel Podcast. Are you interested in doing an online tourism business course? Please visit tourismbusinessonline.com, tourismbusinessonline.com.
So how do we free ourselves of these labels, and why is it important? Labels are like putting you in a box where people don't see you as you are for your good intentions, and instead they make judgments about you. First, we must each come to terms with what is real and what isn't real. What is self-imposed and what is something we know in our hearts of hearts to be true. If not all of those labels are tangible parts of our being, inseparable from the fabric of who we are. They hold everything we are and ever will be. You are not a victim of your past and your labels. You are a human being, capable of anything you set your heart, mind and soul on. Hold on to your character, your integrity, your morals, but leave every other part of yourself open to the universe of possibilities. Stay open, stay present, self-affirm yourself. Try to list the labels that you might have. This is what I did. What have other people labeled you over the years? As you create more awareness around these labels that are associated with you, and you turn them on their head, you start seeing what is real and what is not real. Challenge the labels that people have placed on you. What do they mean? Why? How did the circumstances around you lead to that label? Labels generally confine us. They box us in. And we become sometimes too comfortable with the boxes that they keep us in. We end up not experiencing all life has to offer because we make decisions from the pain of our labels. Take back those labels, accept them, or do something about them.
You are listening to the Growth Channel Podcast. If you are interested in growing yourself, personal development and financial freedom, then subscribe to our online growth channel on YouTube, Online Growth Channel. The link is in the podcast description.
You know, when people label you in a negative way, it doesn't make that label a fact. The labels they give you are generally because they are threatened by you. Sometimes they fear you, or they want to be you. Those are their labels, not yours. Let them either bounce off or just zoom past you. Stop wearing these negative labels. You know, we know that we are worthy of better things in life. Get out, show the world your positive labels. Add to somebody else's positive labels for them. Stop being trapped by labels others gave you, what others refer you to. And it's time to free ourselves from whatever labels people give. And how do we do this? Just ignore that. Move on with your life. In my experience, I've realized that it doesn't matter what people say about me and say to others who I am. I continue with my life. And today when I look back, I laugh at it. I look around me and I see other people who have labeled me and still doesn't know me, you know, and I see how trapped they are. They are trapped by the labels that they've given me. Because when they look at me, they still got those labels. And so they look at the world at me through those labels. And it really doesn't bother me. So, free yourselves from negative labels, what other people put on you. And live your life. That brings us to the end of this episode.
Please like or follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel and podcast platforms. The Growth Channel Podcast is broadcasted once weekly, every Thursday at 3 p.m. Beijing time, GMT +8. Until next time, please stay safe and be blessed. Till we meet again.